Okay, hello. Welcome to our second session of the Yin Yoga Chakra series. Today's class will be focused on the second chakra, Svadhisthana, which is the Sacral Chakra, located at the pubic bone and sacrum, which is that triangular bone there at the back of your pelvis. We'll start today in reclined butterfly or supine butterfly. You'll want to have a couple of blocks for practice today. If you don't have blocks, you could also grab a couple of pillows and or a water bottle, and I'll tell you how you can use all of that as we go through each of the poses. But we'll start in that reclined butterfly. So when you lie down onto your back, bring the soles of your feet together, knees out wide. And if your outer hips are feeling really tight, you might bring your blocks or pillows underneath your thighs. And then let your body just relax into your props, into your mat. Rest your arms either down by your side, or you could cactus your arms if you want to start to get a little bit of stretch across your shoulders. Or the other option is to rest your hands on your body. So maybe one hand on your heart, one hand on your navel, your belly button. Make sure your shoulders are tucked nicely underneath you. And start to take some long, deep, full breaths in through your nose. And either out of your nose or out of your mouth, whatever feels the most relaxing to you. So our goal here is to help the body come into the parasympathetic nervous system, our state of rest and digest, out of that state of fight or flight. And as you continue to breathe here in this reclined butterfly pose, I'll tell you a little bit more about this second chakra. Again, the name in Sanskrit is Svadhisthana. The Bija mantra, or the seed mantra that's associated with this chakra, is Vam. Vam. The element is water, and the color is orange. And this chakra is all associated with our feelings of pleasure and pain, our sensuality, also our creativity. So when we feel that we are balanced in this area, in this chakra, we feel like we have control over our emotions, we can experience pleasure, and we might also feel creative. And I'll tell you and give you, as I did in the first class, as we move through some of the longer hold poses, I'll give you some affirmations that you can use to help create some balance in this area. And I'll also, as we go along, tell you a little bit more about what might happen if you are either overactive or underactive in this chakra. But for now, for the rest of this pose, I just want to give you an opportunity to tap into your own body and to notice how you're feeling today. So I will be quiet for the next couple of minutes for the remainder of this first pose. And then, of course, I'll let you know how to come out of it when it is time and bring us into our next pose. So for now, just breathe and let your body relax. Take 3 more deep, full breaths. And then use your hands outside your thighs to draw your knees towards each other. Step your feet wide to the edges of your mat and let your knees fall into each other. And take a few breaths here. And then hug your knees into your chest. Take a little rock side to side. Massage your low back. And then you can either roll to one side or the other, or rock the length of your spine a few times to come all the way up through to seated. And we'll set up for our next pose to open the outer hips, which is square pose. And I'll give you a couple different options here. Square pose, you would take your right leg in front of your left, so you're crossed at your shins, and your ankles are mostly underneath your knees, and you're nice and rooted in your sit bones. Now, those of you more open in your hips might want a deeper pose here to get a deeper stretch. If that's the case for you, you're welcome to take a fire log pose, which means instead of the right leg being in front, you would stack your right shin on top of your left shin. Now, if you try this and your knee is really far away from your foot or your ankle, I recommend taking square pose. Either way, whichever pose you're in, fire log or square, bring your hands by your hips, sit up nice and tall, stay nice and rooted in your sit bones, stay long in your spine as long as possible, and start to walk yourself forward over your legs. And then once you find your depth of where you're feeling a really good stretch in your outer hips, which will be different for each one of us, you can relax your shoulders and relax your head. So once you find that spot, you don't have to worry so much about staying as long in your spine and as tall in your spine. You can allow some rounding. You can let your shoulders relax. If you're in fire log pose, you might even be able to rest your head onto your right leg. If you're in square pose, you might want to use your blocks here underneath your forearms to allow you to relax a little bit more. Or another option is to stack your blocks and bring your forehead onto your blocks. So any of these options, just to allow yourself to let go as much as possible and focus on this stretch and those outer hips. Now you might feel this other places too. You might feel in your inner legs, you might feel in your low back since we're folded forward. But I'm hoping you're getting some stretch in those outer hips, because with this sacral chakra, we will be working a lot today with the hips. So this one, again, is trying to focus on those outer hips. And as I promised, I'll tell you a little bit more about the sacral chakra. When you are overactive in this area, you might experience a lot of drama or conflict. You might struggle with addiction, or you might find yourself in unhealthy relationships. On the converse, if you're underactive in this area, you may experience some emotional instability. You might struggle to connect with other people. Or you might find that you lack desire or passion. So again, if we create balance here, you have control over your emotions, you can experience pleasure, you can express creativity, all those good things. So we definitely want to make sure we create a good area here where the energy can move through this sacral chakra. We are halfway through this side, so I'll be more quiet for the second half of this. If at any point, if you're not supporting your head on anything and your neck gets uncomfortable, just lift your head, move it gently side to side, just really slowly until you feel those neck muscles relax a little bit, and then you can relax your head back down. And stay connected to your breath. You might use that seed mantra of VAM as you continue to breathe in this pose. One more minute. And then to come out of this pose, use your hands again to help walk yourself back up. And then once you have arrived, you can use your hands to help uncross your legs, stretch your legs out in front of you, find a little bit of movement in your feet, your ankles. You could tap the backs of your legs on the mat. And then we'll set up for our second side. So this time your right leg comes in first and your left leg comes in front. If you're taking square pose, so you're mostly crossed at your shins, ankles mostly underneath your knees, flex your toes, hands by your hips. If you did on the other side and you want to take fire log here, you would stack that left leg on top of your right instead of having it in front. Either pose that you're in, use your hands to help sit up nice and tall, and then keep length in your spine as you start to walk yourself forward over your legs. Now, all of us are different in how tight we are in the hips. So, and you might be different on this side than you were on the other side. So always check in. If you find that you're already feeling a stretch when you haven't gone very far, spend a few breaths in that position before you try to go any further. So we don't want to force anything, just let your body come into the shape in its own time. As you are folding forward, keep that nice long spine, and then once you find your depth where you want to stay for a while, you can then relax your shoulders, relax your head. Maybe if you're in fire log pose, your head makes its way all the way down onto your legs. Maybe if you're in square pose, you use your blocks underneath your forearms, or you can build yourself a little block tower and rest your head. In any of the poses that we take, I do want you to feel stretch and sensation, but never any sharp pain. So if you are experiencing pain or if you have any discomfort in your knees, you might come out a little bit, give yourself some time, and then maybe walk back in once you feel ready or once that discomfort has alleviated. And again, you will feel stretch, you will feel sensation, and that's a good thing. We do want to work with these denser connective tissues in our yin practice. So you will feel sometimes maybe even a dull ache, but no discomfort in your knees and no sharp pain. Now for this side, I will give you an affirmation that you might repeat to yourself silently as you hold in the pose, if it resonates with you. If it doesn't, you can just leave it and focus on your breath. The affirmation I'll offer you for this pose is, I deserve pleasure in my life. I deserve pleasure in my life. And I'll be quiet to let you repeat that silently to yourself. I deserve pleasure in my life. We have 1 more minute here on this side. So you come out, use your hands again to help walk your torso back up. Uncross your legs, stretch those out in front of you. Find some movement in your feet, your ankles. You might tap the backs of your legs. And then before our next pose, we'll take a reset. So lay down onto your back, and you could either take pentacle pose, which is with your arms and your legs out wide and straight, or if your low back feels sensitive, since we were just in a forward fold, you could bend your knees, plant your feet wide, and let your knees fall into each other. And your arms can rest wherever is comfortable if you choose to take constructive rest. We'll take a few more breaths here. So let the body and the spine to come back to a neutral position. If you haven't already, bend your knees, hug your knees in, rock a little side to side, and then your choice, you can roll to one side or the other, or rock the length of your spine a few times. Come all the way up. And we'll set up for dragon pose next. So if you have 2 blocks, bring them to the top of your mat. If you don't have 2 blocks, you might bring a water bottle to the top of your mat, and I'll walk you through how you can use that. If you happen to have a blanket handy, you can bring that to the middle of your mat. If you don't, roll up the back of your mat until it's about halfway, but roll it in a way that it's wide enough that you can bring your left knee onto your rolled up part of the mat or onto your blanket if you're using a blanket, and then step your right foot forward into a lunge. So this is dragon pose, if I didn't already say that. Couple things to check in on here. If you are using the blocks, you can bring them to whatever height on either side of your foot so that you are hopefully feeling some stretch in your left hip flexors, so the hip flexors of your leg that's back. Some people find they like to be lower towards the earth. I like to be up a little bit higher. If you don't have blocks, you could bring your hands either up onto your right thigh. You could bring one hand onto your right thigh and maybe one hand onto a water bottle or anything else that you have handy. Or if you feel the stretch with your hands down on the mat, you could do that as well. Now sometimes when you first come into this, it might feel like you're pressing into your kneecap, or you might just not be getting a lot of stretch in the front of your hip. So if that's the case, you'll curl your toes under of your left foot, lift up your knee, send your leg back a little bit more so that when you set down, you're more putting your weight on the fleshy part of your knee, just above your kneecap, your patella, and see if that makes any difference for you. You could also, as I mentioned already, you could change the position of your hands. And then another option here, if you're not feeling a lot of stretch, is to bring your right foot further forward. Now, if you're like me and you're feeling a lot of stretch and you want a little bit less, you could bring your right foot in closer to you so that it's not as intense. So make your adjustments based on your body and where you need to be in order to feel that stretch in the front of your left hip. You might feel this other places too, just depending on what's going on in your body and where you're feeling tight. You might feel some stretch in the front leg, maybe in the outer hip or the inner leg, maybe in your glutes too. So just notice where you're feeling this the most in your body. As we hold in this pose, if you are using the blocks and you're feeling like it's too much pressure on your wrists, you could use your fists on your blocks instead, or you could always bring your hands or forearms up onto your thigh. Another thing you could try is hanging your fingers over the edge of your blocks to take some of the pressure out of your wrists. With all this talking that I've been doing, we are over halfway through this side already. I'll be more quiet for the second half to just let you settle into your body. I encourage you to relax your shoulders, relax your head. Send your breath to wherever you're feeling the stretch the most. Can you find a sense of ease in this pose? One more minute. And you can always adjust your positioning as you hold. But I encourage you to try to find as much stillness as you can. Now, it can be a little tricky coming out of this pose sometimes. I usually bring my blocks with me to walk my hands back as you start to shift your hips back over your left knee, straighten your right leg. You might even slide your right heel forward a little bit to straighten out through your leg. Get some stretch for the back of your right leg here before we switch to the other side. And then just drag your heel back. Your mat might come with you, and that's okay. If it does, just roll it back out. Now we'll switch sides. Your right knee comes onto whatever you're using for padding, whether it's your rolled up mat or a blanket. Step your left foot forward into a lunge. If you're using those blocks, bring your blocks one to either side of your left foot at whatever height works best for you. And you might find that this side is a little bit different. Maybe you need a little different positioning on this side. Maybe you want to be lower, maybe you want to be up higher. Check in with that back knee. Notice if you feel like there's weight on your kneecap. You'll curl those right toes under, lift up your knee, send it back a little bit, and then set back down on that fleshy part of your knee above your kneecap. Depending on what you're using underneath your knee, it might get flattened down a little bit as you're holding. So if you need to shift your position at all as you're holding in this pose, you can always move that back knee as you need. The other way that you can adjust this position to target the stretch in the front of your right hip flexors, you could bring your left foot further forward if you want a little bit more, or you can bring your foot in closer to your body if you need a little bit less. Also, you can play with your positioning of your upper body. Wherever you land, I encourage you to relax through your shoulders, relax your head, use your fists if you need to on your blocks, or arms up onto your thigh if you're feeling a lot of pressure in your wrists, so that you can find a position where you can stay here for our full 5-minute hold. And again, I do want you to be feeling sensation, stretch. It's important to stretch these hip flexors, especially if you were sitting for a while today or even walking a lot. So either using your hip flexors or sitting in a position where they're getting shortened. This is a great pose for either of those situations. And this time on this side, I will give you another affirmation. If you would like to use it, you can use it or not. Repeat it silently to yourself if it resonates with you. For this one, we'll use, I embrace and celebrate my sensuality. I embrace and celebrate my sensuality. And we are just past the halfway point. We have 1 more minute. And then to come out of this pose, we will bring our blocks with us again if you're using blocks as you shift your hips over your right knee, straighten your left leg. You can even slide that heel forward and flex your toes towards you to get a bit of a stretch in the back of your left leg. Take a couple of breaths there. And then drag your heel back. You can move all of your stuff off to the side. And then we'll take a reset pose on our back. Lie down onto your back and take either pentacle pose with your arms and your legs out wide and straight, which I always find interesting after doing dragon pose because my legs always feel a little bit longer having lengthened out these hip flexors. However, that said, if this bothers your low back, take constructive rest. Bend your knees, bring your feet wide, knees to each other. A few nice deep full breaths. Bend your knees, hug your knees into your chest, take a little rock side to side, massage your low back. And then start to either roll to one side to press up or rock the length of your spine a few times. Come all the way up. For this next pose, I'll give you two different options. I'll start with the option that is less intense, and then I'll give you the more intense version. The less intense option is child's pose. And what we're stretching here is the inner legs. So for child's pose, you bring your big toes to touch, your knees nice and wide, hips back towards your heels as far as what's comfortable for your knees. And then you bring your torso forward and stretch your arms forward as far as what's comfortable for your shoulders. You can always bend your elbows, bring them back a little bit if needed, and bring your forehead all the way down to your mat. If you have any issues with your knees and it feels like too much compression in the knees, you could bring a pillow or a block between your hips and your heels so you're not going as far back. You also maybe don't need to use the block. You can just lift your hips a little away from your heels. Now, if you come into that and you're not feeling a lot of stretch and you want the more intense variation, the more intense pose is called prone frog. For this one, I like to roll both ends of my mat up to create cushions for my knees. And if you are taking this option and you've rolled up your mat, you bring your knees onto the rolled up mat, and then your ankles also, your ankles are going to be right in line with the knees. Flex your feet so their toes are pointing out. And then for prone frog, you can send your hips back, bring your torso down, arms forward, and forehead down. This pose will be more intense in those inner legs. And you might have to adjust a little bit for just how wide you have your legs. Also, you could adjust for the position of your feet. If having your feet flexed and your toes out doesn't feel good for you, you can take more of pointing your toes back. So that's your other option, your more intense option. Either pose, and you're certainly welcome to switch between the two. We're in this for a total of 5 minutes. So feel free to adjust at any point if you need. We are over halfway. Let your heart melt towards the floor. Let your stomach be soft. Relax the space between your shoulder blades. In either pose, if you would like some stretch for the backs of your upper arms, your triceps, you could bring the palms of your hands together and bring your thumbs to the back of your neck. Just an option. Take 3 more deep, full breaths wherever you are. If you were taking the tricep stretch, you'll bring your hands forward. If you're in child's pose, press into your hands and make your way all the way onto your stomach. If you are in prone frog, I recommend lifting up one knee at a time. Bring your knees towards each other and then meet us on your stomach on your mat in crocodile pose. Crocodile poses are reset, so you'll stack one hand on top of the other and bring either your forehead or your chin onto your hands and let everything else relax. Let your heels fall open. I like to kind of shimmy my hips a little side to side and take a few breaths here. Now bring your hands underneath your shoulders. Press yourself all the way up through to seated. Grab your block and bring it over to the left side of your mat, or a pillow if you don't have a block. And then when you lay down onto your back, the first thing that we're going to do is a pose to help decompress the SI joint. So this will not be a full yin hold. We'll hold it for just a couple of minutes actually. And you'll use your hand to grab your right foot. So left leg can be out long, bend your right knee, and grab your right hand to grab your right foot. You could either grab outside edge or inside edge of your foot, and then send your foot up towards the ceiling, but with your knee bent, and bring your knee off to the side, out towards your shoulder. It's like a half happy baby, but it's called half stirrup pose in yin. And if you find that it's difficult to reach your foot and still keep your shoulders and your head on the mat, you could hold on to the front of your shin, or you could use your right hand behind the back of your thigh and hold there instead. Now again, we'll be holding this for 2 minutes, so you do want to make sure your upper body is as relaxed as it can be, and you do want to bring that right knee out fairly wide. So if you're holding onto your foot, your arm is inside your leg, even if you're holding the outside of your foot. And imagine you're just stamping that right foot on the ceiling. We're halfway through this already, and if it feels good in your body and you would like to straighten your leg for a moment, that's an option that you can take here. Not a requirement, just an option. And you can always go back and forth between bent knee and straight leg. With this pose, again, we're decompressing that SI joint and then also getting a little external rotation here of the hip, which we will next be taking a more internal rotation. We have 3 more full breaths here. And then if you're holding your foot, let go of your foot and use your hands to hug your right knee in for a moment. And we'll be taking this into a supine twist. So shift your hips over to the right and then start to bring your right knee over to your left. And the reason we have the block over on the right, on the left side, is if you find that your knee doesn't come all the way to the floor, you can bring your block underneath your leg. And then bring your right arm either straight out from your shoulder, or you might cactus it on your mat. Work on getting that right shoulder all the way down to the mat. So if that means backing out of your twist slightly, you can always do that. You could also, if the block isn't working or you don't have a block and you want something underneath that right leg, you could bend your left knee and bring your left leg underneath your right. Or even a block or a pillow between your knees. So take the variation of your supine twist that works for you. And sometimes it's not the shoulder. Sometimes you're feeling maybe a pinching in your low back. And in that case, you would want to back yourself out a little bit by not coming as deeply into the twist. So again, maybe using that block or your left leg underneath that right knee. And in this pose, you can either look straight up at the ceiling or you can look over towards your right hand to include your cervical spine in the twist. But with this pose, working with this sacral chakra, is we are working here with the lumbar spine, the sacrum. We're getting internal rotation in the hip, and we're also working again with that SI joint. So you might be feeling some stretch here in your glutes. And also we're getting, of course, this twist in the spine, which is good for the health of your spine. I like to straighten my right leg sometimes in this pose. And then in that case, if you choose to do that, you might bring your block underneath your lower leg to support your leg. That gives me that better stretch in the glutes and then along the outside of my right leg. So lots of options in your twist. Choose the option that works best for you. If you're wondering, we are past the halfway point of this pose on this side. I'm not using my microphone, so you might be hearing some background noise of my dog who just threw her bone down the stairs because she's mad that she's not getting all the attention. One more minute here in this pose. Three more deep, full breaths. I released my dog from her being trapped upstairs, so she's visiting. This is Tessie. And slowly bring your right leg back through center. Recenter your hips on your mat, so plant both feet. Bring your hips to the center of your mat. Bring your feet wide. Let your knees fall into each other for a moment. We'll take a quick break here before we move to those same two poses on the second side. Okay, for this half stirrup on the left side, you can straighten your right leg out, bend your left knee, grab whatever part of this left leg you can with still keeping your shoulders and your head on the floor. So it might be your foot, it might be your shin, it might be behind your thigh. And then as though you're trying to stamp your foot on the ceiling, you bring your foot up, your knee is bent with your knee out wide towards your shoulder. Press into your right leg to keep yourself grounded through that right side, your right hip, as we work with this left side. And again, if it's hard to hold your foot and keep your shoulders and your head down on the mat as relaxed as possible, use your hand to hold shin or behind your thigh. But get that external rotation in the hip. If you're holding your foot, whether you're holding the inside or the outside, you want your arm to be on the inside of your leg. We're halfway, so if you did on the other side and you want to straighten your leg for a period of time, you're welcome to do that. You might do it for a couple of breaths. And then maybe you come back to a bent knee, or you could stay there longer if that feels good in your body. Just always honor what feels good for you. I'm going to keep my knee bent. One more deep, full breath. And then release your foot, bend your knee, hug your knee into your chest, give it a little squeeze. And then to set up for our supine twist, shift your hips over to the left, bring your left knee over to the right. And if you used your block on the other side, bring your block with you. You might bring your block underneath your knee, or you might bend your right knee and stack your knees and feet. If you're taking that option, you might even bring a block or a pillow between your knees and thighs to allow your left leg to be as relaxed as possible and to make sure you don't have any pinching or discomfort in your low back. If you do, you might back out of your twist even a little bit more, or try shifting your hips a little more left. Keep that left shoulder down as much as you can and gaze either straight up at the ceiling, or you can look to the left. Make any adjustments that you need. so that you're in your favorite version of your supine twist. So again, we're getting this movement here in the lower back, the lower spine, the lumbar spine. On this side, I will give you another affirmation. If you would like to use it, repeat it silently to yourself as you hold on this side. And this time, the affirmation that we'll use is, I absorb information through my feelings. I absorb information through my feelings. We are halfway. Oh, I take that back. We weren't quite halfway yet. But I will be quiet to let you focus on that affirmation. I absorb information through my feelings. Now we are halfway. One more minute. And to come out, bring your left leg back through center, recenter your hips on your mat. You might bring your feet wide, let your knees fall into each other for a moment, especially if your low back feels sensitive after coming out of that twist. We don't want to take any sudden or big movements in the spine. And there is no rush at all, but as soon as your low back feels ready for it, you're welcome to transition to your Shavasana. You could either hug your knees in for a moment and then straighten your legs, or you could just straighten your legs directly from your constructive rest. Bring your legs out long, tuck your shoulder blades underneath you, shift your hips down, Flip your palms up. Let your body relax into your mat. Bring your awareness to your pubic bone, your sacrum, there at the back of your pelvis. Imagine a swirling circle of orange light there. I'll be quiet here for the next couple of minutes to give you time to just settle into this final pose and enjoy some stillness and some silence. If you would like to take more time in your Shavasana, you are more than welcome to do so. If you are ready to move on with your day, start to wiggle your fingers and your toes, roll your ankles and your wrists. Take a nice big full body stretch. Reach your arms up overhead, your legs out long in front of you. Let your back arch. And then bend your knees, and you can either roll to one side or the other, or you could roll straight up to seated. If you chose to roll onto your side, use your arm as a pillow for a moment. And whenever you feel ready, you can press yourself up through to seated. When you come to seated, sit however is comfortable for you so that you can sit up nice and tall. And for this final position and final couple breaths together, we'll take a mudra or a hand position for this second chakra, the sacral chakra. You'll interlace your fingers so that your fingers are pointing in towards you, and then straighten out your index fingers. Press the tips of your index fingers together, pointing in towards you, and then bring your tips of your thumbs together, and have your thumbs and your index fingers pointing in opposite directions. So depending on your fingers here, you might have your index fingers kind of pointing in towards you since we've interlaced inward, and then your thumbs may be pointing up or out. And then we'll take a couple of nice deep full breaths together. Your hands are just in front of your lower abdomen. Exhale all of your breath. Take a big inhale through your nose, sit up nice and tall. Open mouth, exhale, let it go. And take one more of those. Nice big inhale through your nose. And exhale out of your mouth. And then you can release your mudra, your hand position, to the light in each of you. Thank you so much for your patience today. To the light in each of you. Namaste. I hope you enjoyed that practice. We'll be back next week. Hopefully no internet issues next week for our third chakra. So I will see you then. Have a great week.